Good morning and welcome you all to the generic series on depression and stress management techniques organized by R.M.D. Engineering College. First, I would like to invite Dr. V. Tamilchelvi, Professor and Head, Department of Science and Humanities, to welcome the gathering. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, madam. A very warm and pleasant morning to all of you on this Tamil New Year. On behalf of our respected management, respected principal Dr. N. Albuchalian, and our staff members, I would like to extend a warm welcome to you all on this generic talk series 5 on the topic depression and stress management techniques. It is my privilege to extend a cheerful welcome to our chief guest, Dr. Chitra Aravind, consultant psychologist, who graciously accepted our invitation. We are honored to have you, madam, on this auspicious day, Tamil New Year Day, to share your valuable insights and perspectives on depression and stress management techniques. Once again, I welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, I request Dr. R. Priya, Professor, Department of Science and Humanities, to introduce the guest of speaker today. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. A pleasant morning to all and wish you all a very happy Tamil New Year. At the outset, I welcome the distinguished speaker and chief guest of today's program, Dr. Chitra Aravind, consultant psychologist and founder of Manas, Chennai. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Chitra Aravind to the viewers. She is a RCI, that is Rehabilitation Council of India, certified consultant psychologist. She is also the founder of Manas, a counseling center at Kodambakkam, Chennai. Her educational qualification is M.phil Ph.D. in psychology. To brief about her skill sets, she counsels people of various age groups in the following areas: personal, academic relationships, coping difficulties, anxiety disorders, shyness, obesity, phobias, personality disorders, marital disorders, depression, stress-related issues, etc. She is well experienced in developing, customizing, and delivering training programs to employees, students, and public to enhance their personal and professional lives. She has hands-on experience in the fields of psychological testing, personality profiling, psychotherapy, and relaxation techniques. She is well experienced in delivering organizational development programs in corporate companies. To share few of her accomplishments, she has developed resilience training module for police women during 2015. She is serving as an external member of Internal Compliance Committee in several institutes and corporates. She is currently involved in developing and standardized mental health tool for Punya Health to screen the public with various mental health issues. She is serving as a special lecturer for a diploma course, Juvenile Justice, Juvenile Psychology for the Judicial Officers, conducted by the Department of Criminology, University of Madras, Chennai. She is invited as chief guest, motivational speaker, and trainer in several academic institutions and corporates. She has authored a Tamil book, Manase Manase, apart from authoring several articles in various magazines. She is running a YouTube channel titled Manas, A Pursuit of Happiness, to spread awareness among the public on various mental health and social issues. Her interviews on depression, teenage issues, children's mental health issues, tips for parenting, parent-child relationships, and stress management-related issues are regularly appearing on all popular TV channels. So, undoubtedly, she is a very busy person with sound knowledge and experience in the field related to the title of the talk today. Without further delay, let us listen to Dr. Chitra Aravind. I hand over the session to the speaker. Please, ma'am.
A very pleasant morning to all the August audience listening to this, and I extend my gracious thanks to R.M.D. Engineering College for having me as a chief guest again for another very important topic, and I really appreciate the college for taking this kind of steps and initiatives for talking about the very important things which not many institutions are actually giving more importance to. That's a mental health, which we can never deny. And that's the most important topic, I would say. And that too on Tamil New Year, we are gracing this occasion. So without further delay, I'll just take a deep dive into our topic on depression and stress management, which will be like sounding little negative, but we can't ignore this fact that our mental health is becoming a big challenge nowadays because of a lot of issues like social media, globalization, and various other things which are changing day by day. So I'm just going to give you a context about what is stress and depression because I can't immediately dive into the techniques. First, let's understand about the topics, the concepts of stress and depression, and then I will give you a lot of very meaningful techniques which are very practical and which you can follow in your daily routine also. Because here we are not going to discuss about the clinical disorders per se, for which you might require psychologists or psychiatrists intervention, but those stress and depression which you might face every single day, and I will get you to the concepts very soon. So let's go to the presentation now. Okay, so the my consultancy Manas, the key word is the pursuit of our happiness. For a minute, I want all of you to think about this and why we are attending why we are attending the job, and many things, whatever we do, all are the motive of our actions is all pursued towards our happiness only. But the question is, at least yearly once during New Year, especially Tamil New Year or English New Year, anytime we need to ask these questions. Am I really happy in whatever thing I'm doing in my personal life, married life, or in my work life, or as a student? Am I really happy? If the question is yes, then that's very nice. But if the answer is no, then you need to actually introspect. What is really bothering me? Why am I not happy? And try to regain that much needed happiness, because that is a gift actually. The life is such a gift which is given to us, and we should use every second of it. So what are the things which can undermine our happiness? The most importantly, the stress and depression. And we'll first understand what is stress. So when we talk about the stress, we always, right from the newborn children until the old age, we keep using the word stress. Even a child I could see nowadays using the word I'm stressed. Romba stress. So these are the words and concepts every day we talk about it. But then what is stress? First, we need to understand the psychology of it. That it's not that something is bothering me, or it's just the demand. If you have the resources to handle those demands, then it's not even stress. Well, let's take a quick example. So let's say the exam is announced in a college. Okay, so then there may be different types of students. There is a separate set of students who may feel like, okay, I'm prepared enough and they won't have any stress. For students who are not prepared, that's a big stress. So 95% of whatever is happening in our life, not everybody perceives it as stress. Just 5% to 10% people might perceive it as stress. That is just the very important events like COVID or tsunami or illness. For this, all of us would say, yes, it is stress and it's a real and genuine stress. But the rest, it is a perceived stress. It varies from person to person. So there lies the key to stress management. If a person A is facing stress and person B is not, then let's talk about what resources this person B has and how we can acquire it so that I also don't feel the stress. So that is the secret of stress management, because everybody feels that, oh, this college is stressing me, this work is stressing me, this person is stressing me. But actually seeing it's not about these external aspects alone. It is an interpretation of these events and situations or people's word which adds stress to our life. When we could change the interpretation, we could change the entire experience of stress. So we'll see how. And obviously, stress affects our physical and psychological functioning. So a minute for all the audience to think about like what causes stress in me, because whenever in my clinical experience, when I look into it, not everybody is aware of the symptoms of stress or what really causes stress. And they come and meet up with me just after 5 to 10 years of chronic stress. By the time it would have had a very bad impact on their physical and mental health. So it's very important that we look into like what really causes stress in me. Am I having adequate coping techniques to handle these kind of stresses in life? So time for you to think, or later also retrospect, what are the factors which is really causing the stress in me? So what could be the major causes? I've just given a very important causes of stress. One can be your work, one can be your studies, your academics or financial status, and most importantly, self-generated. We inflict our own stress also, and we cook up our own stress. That's called internal stress. And relationships, yes, for those college students who may be listening like 20 to 30 and let's say 18 to 25, your relationship would be the major source of stress for you. And minor irritants, everyday hassles, traffic, and all these things, and life changes, any important life events, and all that are very important causes of stress. So when we find out, okay, I now know like what's causing stress to me, now what else to do now? First, also, let's take a dive into like 8 negative thinking patterns. Not everybody would know about this because the essence of stress management technique lies in identifying our thoughts. Because in psychology, in a therapy called CBT, what we understand is the thoughts causes the feelings. So let it be stress, let it be depression or anxiety. The most important thing is the self-talk or the thoughts, which causes the feelings. It makes us to feel the way. Let's say you're like thinking for half an hour, 1 hour, overthinking, worrying spiral. After that, you feel your battery is completely drained and you feel like completely down. It's just because of your negative thoughts. And the truth is, we have like kind of even 75,000 thoughts every day. And most of the thoughts, needless to say, it's negative thoughts. So please identify for your patterns that would destroy your peace of mind. So the first important pattern, the audience can think about these kind of patterns. Do you have this kind of thinking pattern? If you have, the right time, you first thing you need to be aware of it, note it down, and just you have to substitute it with a positive way of thinking. It is very important. First of all, we need to find the culprit which is costing our peace of mind. The first one is the need to control. We could see a lot of people wanting to control our life. It should go this way and this should happen this particular way, the rigid way of thinking. And if anything goes beyond their routine, they can't just take it. So this kind of perfectionistic attitude and the need to control is something which can be destroying a peace of mind. Next thing is, there are some people who are like, very difficult for them to ask for help. They just want to do everything themselves or they're too afraid to ask for help. And this is one more negative thinking pattern. See if you could identify. And always in a victimizing mode. I'm suffering, why me? All this kind of toxic thinking patterns of holding on to pain. I want the pain in life. There are some people you might be wondering like why we want to do it. But I've seen a lot of people in my personal life and in my clinical experience wanting to hold on to the pain. There's a lot of reasons why people do that. But just see if you do it and try to let go and release that pain immediately. And one more thing is about the scared and anxious of the future. What will happen? What if? All the thinking about the future. You're either thinking about the past, which is causing depression, or thinking about the future, which is going to cause you anxiety. And not standing up for yourself. That's a major source of stress because lack of assertiveness, we say in psychology, that is those who cannot stand up for myself or say no to people or cannot refuse any invitations which they don't like. All these people, we term them as passive people. So for them, it's a very tough thing. They cook up their own stress recipe in a very worst way possible. So not standing up for yourself, if you have this kind of negative thinking pattern, you need to really work on it. And next is pessimistic thinkers. And I think our mind is already wired to be pessimistic, and needless to say, most of our thoughts are negative. And mostly when you just take a look into your thought, it would be negative. Okay, but then we have to consciously rewire our brain to think positive. Those techniques we'll see soon. But just see if you are overly pessimistic and negative and grumbling and cribbing, complaining about life, why this is happening, why this road like this, why the teacher is like this, why the students are like this. So complaining, it's a cribbing attitude. That is again a very worst thing to have. Feeling guilty for taking a break. And there are certain people who always wants to work and always want to be productive and always very hard on themselves, beating up themselves. So this is the very negative attitude because after all, we need to love ourselves, not be our own self-critic. And by thinking that we are going to criticize and become better, please, that's not the way. We have to motivate ourselves. We need to motivate ourselves by actually encouraging us, not by discouraging us. Okay. So these are some negative thinking patterns. If you could identify it, please be conscious and try to work over the same. And let's look into a little more on stress. This slide is very important because most of us listening to this may not be aware of our symptoms of stress. First of all, for managing your stress, you need to know what kind of symptoms it gives. Not for everyone, the symptoms are same. For some people, it can be frequent infections. For some people, it could be like they can't take decisions. And for some people, it could be like they are very anxious and irritable all the time. Some people, they can't sleep. So the symptoms may be there. So you need to understand this is a signal or a red flag that you are stressed. So you can get stressed in body level or mind level or in emotional level or in behavioral level. All the symptoms also can be present. So just be aware. More and more awareness of mental health is needed to understand ourselves and get help when it is very important. So if you find these symptoms in yourself or in others, you need to really get some help, or you can develop your own coping mechanism, which we are going to see soon. So, and also please look into our maladaptive coping strategies, which we may think that it's a very good coping, but actually not. Coping in the sense, what are the techniques we are using on everyday basis to handle stress in our lives. So these are the techniques which are negative and definitely not to be used. Look into yourself. Are you eating more comfort food when you're stressed? Are you drinking more alcohol, or are you drawn to smoking or drugs when you're more stressed? Are you having a tendency to blame others and put all the responsibility on others' shoulders? Or are you overworking? Are you workaholic? Or are you always in denial? No, this is not happening to me. Or are you like wanting to escape from the current stress in life and escape into some pleasant place, not wanting to confront your problems? And are you suppressing the negative thoughts and emotions? So these are the red flags that says that there is a stress in your life, but you're not coping in an adequate way possible. And please take a look at what kind of effects stress can have on you, because we are just using the word stress here and there, but we don't know the intensity of the impact stress causes on our long-term health. If it is going to be a chronic stress, which is going to be there in your body and mind and in your life every single day, the kind of impact it causes on you can be very detrimental. Just take a look at this. It can cause arthritis, it can cause irritable bowel syndrome, or it can even cause like a fibromyalgia or any immune related issues also. So stomach issues, obviously, gut is something which gets very much weakened when it's exposed to stress all the day. So these are the problems, and mental health issues also can be created. So now just let's quickly understand how to cope with stress. Now you have an adequate background and context of what stress is. Now let's see like how to cope up with the stress. Just imagine a bucket which is a stress, and when water pours onto it, it becomes full. So you need to drain the bucket by either using positive coping mechanisms, or some people may be using a negative coping mechanism, which is wrong, which is like a false step, which I just showed you. And please refrain from using such false taps and only use good taps. That is how you can use lot of adequate coping techniques in your life and bring the reservoir. And when there is any stress, you can just use that. So what are such coping techniques? Ask yourself, what are the kind of coping techniques you're already using in your life? And please understand, for whatever stress which is being caused in your life, there are two types of stressors. One, which is in your control. That is whatever stress which is in your control. Let's say, I can handle it. It is in my limits. Let's say examination stress or relationship problems. These are the stress which is in your hand, or financial troubles, still in your hand. For those stressors which is in your control, you need to carefully choose from problem-focused coping strategies. That is, which confront the problem and resolves it by building our resources like skills, problem solving. If you are always late and that is causing you stress, you need to improve your time management skills. So problem-focused coping strategies should be used for those which is in control, in your control. But if you find your stressors are not in your control, that is something like, death of your loved ones, or which is like a COVID situation, or anything which is not in your control, actually speaking, most of your stressors are not in your control. And a very bad boss, or a college where you couldn't cope up, those rules and regulations, all this come under the uncontrollable stressors in your life, which can never be changed. So now, in the election time, we could say living in a political situation which you cannot change. Most of the situations in our life are not able, we are not able to change. So those uncontrollable stressors, you need to enforce emotion-focused coping strategies. So what are they? Like talking to other people, venting it out, just once, not every day talking negatively. And then reframing the situation is a beautiful emotion-focused coping technique. That means changing the way you appraise a situation. Let's say in COVID also, like what we thought is, okay, COVID is very detrimental, but then why don't we look into the silver lining in the cloud? How COVID helped me in my life, personally or professionally? And to think about it is very difficult, but we have to only look into the positive aspects of our stressors. In that way, we will see in a job also, or in a college also, okay, what are the good things available there? What are my positive aspects there? Optimism. Thinking optimistic about the positive things in your job or whatever in your life, or reframing the situation in such a way to adapt, which is a very important quality and adaptability for a human being. And next is journaling technique, about which I will talk in the further slides. Exercise, meditation, all these are emotion-focused coping, but you need to understand the crux here. Many people use coping strategies, but wrongly. Let's say for an uncontrollable situation, if you're trying to head-on handle the problem by trying to change a person's behavior, let's say, a daughter-in-law trying to change a mother-in-law, or a manager trying to change an employee, or a teacher trying to change a student, or a student trying to please a teacher. So all these kind of scenarios are not in our control. But when we say put a lot of effort and feel drained, it's going to backfire. Similarly, when you're going to use the emotion-focused coping strategies for things in your control, let's say you need to be on time, or you need to study for your exam. In that time, okay, so much of stress, now let me go to sleep. That is the emotion focused coping. If you're going to use that technique for those problems which is in your control, it's going to backfire. So let's say I'm going for a smoke, or I'm just going to sleep the problem and then wake up, and that problem is still going to be there. For those, so you please understand, for controllable, you need to use problem focus. If it is not in your control, you need to use emotion focused. If you used wrongly, it's not going to really manage your stress. So just take a look at even more emotion focused and problem focused coping strategies, because this whole talk is all about building a reservoir of good techniques to handle your stress. You can also imagine how many of you are actually connecting with your friends, talking to them over the phone, or giving yourself a pep talk. Okay, very good. I did a good job today. Okay, so pat yourself on your shoulders. Don't expect someone to come and compliment you. So these are emotion focused. Problem focused is how are we going to handle the problem? Many students, I would say nowadays, lack problem solving coping strategy. They don't know how to solve a problem. For a problem, for a simple problem also, they think, oh, it's overwhelming and I just want to give up. If there is a relationship problem, still you can work on it. So it's all problem focused coping. You need to improve your thinking process. Now, finally, how do we build our stress tolerance? These are all very useful tips which you can actually try to see, because certain tips may not work for you, but certain tips might work. So you can just jot down or keep it in mind. Okay, fine. Let me use these kind of tips to handle stress in my life. You have to take regular breaks, because even our mobile phone needs charging, right? Otherwise, it's just get dried. Our battery will definitely go to nil. Similarly, a human being also, we need recharge by taking regular breaks in terms of vacations or going out with your friends or family. This will boost you again to come back with a big bang. So have some time alone also. It's not like all the time you need to be with people. When you're alone, you will be able to be in touch with your own self, which is very important for our mental health. And very important is take a detox. Detox recipe from your social media, especially Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, anything. Just take this tip seriously, guys, like at least 1 week minimum, or if not possible, just 2 days at least. It's like what we say in like a Viradam, you have to take this kind of breaks, like a fasting, you need to take a fasting from this kind of social media, and you see how calm your mind is. Because once you go through Instagram and after half an hour, you will find depressed. Why? Because you would have seen some happy people's face, your own age mates doing very well, because obviously they're going to post the best of the best. So that's going to drain your energy. So when you limit this kind of exposure, you will see a quick detox happening and mind getting more and more active. And for those who believe in God, prayer is a very good way of coping also. Balance giving and receiving support. For example, don't be a giver too much, don't be receiving too much. You need to balance this art of offering help and also knowing when to receive help. And also very importantly, you need to have your own personal self-care plan, because our beautiful soul resides within our body. And it's very important that we need to take care of our body and soul and make sure that I can spend some time and energy and even money on this. It's not a problem, because after all, it's you have to take care of yourself. And very importantly, the early warning signs of stress itself, as I already showed you in a slide, understand that you are stressed and immediately take coping techniques to manage it, because it's a silent killer. And very importantly, you need to balance work, play, rest. Don't work too much, don't play too much, don't rest too much. You need to have everything in balance. So now we had a section on stress. So now I'm going to take a look into the depression, because for many people, this concept and this word and vocabulary also we are using every day. I'm depressed, I'm stressed, I'm having a panic attack, I'm having anxiety. So now depression, first of all, what do you mean by depressed and what do you mean by depression? Something which you should learn from a psychologist. Depression is defined, actually classified as a mood disorder. Okay, so it's maybe described as a feeling of sadness, loss, or anger that interfere with the person's everyday activity. So please understand, two things are different. I mean, when you say we have a lot of emotions like happiness, guilt, sad, anxious, jealous, content. These are our emotions. So depression, feeling depressed is one of the emotions. It's not a disorder. But when I'm calling about depression as a disorder, it should actually meet the criteria according to our like a DSM classification, which psychologists and psychiatrists refer to, or ICD also we have, which talks about major depressive disorder or manic bipolar disorder, manic depressive disorders, and even dysphoric disorder is there. So a lot of such depression disorders are there. Here we are not going to focus on such clinical depression topics. We are going to talk about getting depressed and having a chronic depressed feeling and drained and low energy, fatigue, wanting to sleep for more time, not motivated at all. I think most of the students and people who are going to job can relate, and even homemakers could relate to what I'm talking about. So please, it's very important to realize that feeling down at times is normal, not a problem. Part of life. We all feel not only always jumpy and always happy or all that into. We always also feel down. It's fine. And sad and upsetting events happen to everyone, and it drains us and we feel down. But if you're feeling down or hopeless on a regular basis, then you could be dealing with depression. Depression is considered a serious medical condition that can get worse without proper treatment. So sometimes we may require even medications for the same, like psychiatric help, or sometimes psychotherapy can help if it's in case of mild to moderate depression. So let's look into what are the symptoms of depression. Before that, what are the causes? What causes depression in us? Nowadays, most of the youngsters feel depressed, and the reason may be because of their poor lifestyle, because poor eating habits, skipping breakfast or having dinner very late and going to bed very late, and because of the poor nutrition, drugs, brain chemistry imbalance, can be chemical imbalance, or because of your parents or your family members may be depressed, or it can be because of your breakup or traumatic events you face in your life. And sometimes because of women, estrogen or female sex hormones, because of that, I already talked about the dysphoria we feel. So all this kind of things may be there. And physical health problems, all this can be a causes of depression. So what are the symptoms of depression? So when we have to also understand, because I always tell when it comes to mental health awareness, you need to be aware of the signs and symptoms of our issues. Only then we know maybe we need help or not. So like how we have this, lot of awareness about blood pressure, sugar, cholesterol and all that. So we need to know like what are the symptoms of depression also. Am I really depressed? So feeling empty or hollowed out. Most of the times if you feel more empty and you're feeling very restless, lethargic, like you don't have any energy, and you feel insomnia, that means you can't sleep. You can't sleep, and oversleeping is also a sign of depression. And the more prone or more, if you want to take more and more of substance abuse like alcohol or drugs, suicidal ideation, most important symptom, and very unfortunately, one of the important symptom of depression is suicidal thoughts, ideation towards suicide. So that is why depression has to be taken very seriously, because we could lose people because when we don't actually give importance to these symptoms. Loss of interest, and people who have been very interested in watching movies or hanging out with friends, they feel like, I don't feel like doing anything now. I just want to withdraw from people. And mostly we say a triad of depression: worthlessness, hopelessness, helplessness. These are the very important signs of clinical depression. And always feeling guilty, persistent, always feeling sad. So these are the symptoms of actual depression I'm talking about. And here now we have a large audience. So I also want to very importantly address this point about suicide warning signs. Since it's a very important sign of depression also, you need to know what are the signs of suicide, because it could really be life-saving and you could save yourself or save your well-wishers and friends or relatives or anyone for that matter from suicide when you know that we could find out from these signs. So let me a little bit talk about it. Like talks about killing themselves. They're feeling very hopeless, and always they use the word, I'm like useless. I'm causing problem to other people, like feeling a burden, feeling trapped, unbearable mental pain. It's not physical pain. Somebody may be thinking, no, it's not even pain. Why people want to take suicide? You can't imagine the amount of mental pain they go through when they're having these kind of thought processes. And changes in mood in terms of depression or anxiety, loss of interest. They are always very irritable. Anything irritates them. And humiliation or shame, agitation or anger, And changes in behavior, like they may already be using alcohol or drugs, but it increased during this kind of phase. Isolating from family and friends, changes in your sleep patterns, like, that's one important sign of mental health issue is that change in your sleeping patterns. You may be sleeping too much, or you may not get sleepy, or you may wake up in the midnight. These are all very important signs that you're not doing mentally well. And saying goodbye or giving possessions to people or writing a will, and aggression and risk-taking behavior, fatigue, all these are some important suicide warning signs. So now we are talking about depression, stress. This is more very, I would say these are a lot of commonalities between stress and depression is there. When you could see that in between thing, where we could see trouble sleeping, feeling that you can't overcome, all these are the symptoms commonly shared by stress and depression. And stress, we have a specific symptoms like feeling overwhelmed or feeling nervous or anxious. There's a distinct symptom of stress. And similarly, specific symptoms of depression may be, as I already discussed, withdrawing from friends, thoughts of suicide, feeling sad, lack of energy, trouble making decisions, being restless, and low self-esteem. And the common, symptoms of both stress and depression, you could see these are the common symptoms. Just you can take a look at it, which already I've been discussing about the symptoms here. So this is the common aspect of both stress and depression. Now let's see how to cope with depression. So when we see a depressed person, you could imagine a person always very lethargic and fatigued and wanting to always lie down and keep crying. So how they can come out of it? If it is not a major depression, we are talking about around a clinical depression, if you're feeling just depressed because of certain aspects of your life, then these tips can actually help you to beat depression. So one important thing is to develop a strong support network, improve the sleep, develop the nutrition. About all this, I'm going to discuss in detail in the coming slides. So we can just take a look at it. And now that I've just completed the stress and depression, the context I've given you, and now I'm going to discuss very importantly that like a resilience building or the very important techniques, what you can imbibe in your everyday life so that you can be very not at all vulnerable or you won't attract any kind of mental health problem, even physical health problem, because after all, physical health problems will cause mental health problems and vice versa. So now I'm going to discuss one by one very important strategies or preventative or even things which you can use after feeling depressed and stressed as a coping technique also, and see what and all techniques can work for you and you can even jot it down. So now all stress, anxiety and depression is caused when we ignore who we are and start living to please others. So this is just a quote by Paulo Coelho. And now let's look into the robust techniques, psychological techniques, which can handle all the stress and depression and even anxieties in your life. So the secret is, as I already told you verbally, I'm just showing the slide to you now. 10% of life is made up of what happens to you. And 90% of life is decided by how you react. So the control is still within you. Some people may feel like life is outside my control, or bad things are happening to me and all that. But please understand, regain your control in life, because after all, 90% of life is decided by how you respond and react, if not react, to the problems which life throws at you. That is very important. That's the secret of managing all these problems. Very, very basic and preventative aspect should be healthy lifestyle practices. But this, most of you may know, but just think for a while, how many of you are practicing it? To start with, regular exercise, if not like 45 minutes or gymming or whatever, at the least 20 minutes for 4 days a week, or at least to start with 3 days a week. You will see a tremendous changes or development happening in your life. Eating healthy diet and avoiding excessive alcohol, caffeine, and tobacco. These are all we call lifestyle changes, which will prevent you from lifestyle disorders. Getting enough sleep. This is a great challenge for youngsters nowadays. Mostly when I address the youngsters, they say that average time they go to sleep is 1 o'clock, average. And it could go even until 3 a.m. or even sometimes 11 p.m. So the problem here is, if you don't get enough sleep, you are inviting all physical and mental health problems to your doorsteps. So that is up to you to decide whether you are going to get enough sleep or not, because no advising will help you, just the realization. So healthy pleasures and break, which I already discussed, and a very good lifestyle about having yoga or meditation as a part and parcel of your routine is very important, which will prevent you from major problems. And one important thing for students and people who are working is that I always told you, like already told you, that stress is inversely related to your set of skills. If you are resourceful, you can handle stress. It's like having a powerful sword in your hand. If you have like a shield, which is already going to prevent you from stress, then it's very easy. So more you skilled, less stress you feel. For example, let's say you're having an elbowed license, and when you're going to get an elbowed license, when you were in the past, how difficult was it? And now how easy it got after you got a pro of driving. Similarly, for any new things in life, being it a college student or a person who is working, or for anyone, if you're more skilled, the less stress you feel. For example, time management skills, communication skills, and creativity, stress management, all the life skills we call. This is actually given by WHO or World Health Organization. You can jot out what are the skills you are already having and what you want to build in yourself. If you have most of the skills, I can predict that you are a person who is more resilient to stress. One more important technique I tell most of my clients to follow is have a journal writing habit. Okay, by the time you go to sleep, just 5 minutes before your bedtime, take a journal, which is going to be a confidential one, or if you can't rely on people who might take a look into it, so you can just use your smartphone notes. Okay, you can use a smartphone protected by a password, or even a lot of mental health apps are nowadays there in Android as well as Apple phones. Use that. How are you feeling today? What strong emotions you feel? And you may be thinking like how it's going to use. I'm giving all research proven evidence-based technique for handling your stress and depression. So all these are already research proven that when you write your emotions down, it is actually released and vented out from your system. So from the morning till evening, if you feel more emotional about certain things, just jot it down. You can elaborate about it towards a bedtime. This is going to release your emotional, what to say, like, you can energy, so that you feel more energetic after releasing all this emotional energy. So this is one good way to start with. One more tip is that most of you might be doing this actually without your knowledge, preoccupied with ourselves, like, always thinking about what this person talked about me. I heard someone using my name. What did he think about me? What did they think about me? All this kind of preoccupation when you're not sure about what is happening in your life. This will always put you in a state of uncertainty and worry and drain all your energy. I'm telling you, these thoughts are the ones which actually slowly drink all your energy. Like how our sun dehydrates us, our thoughts actually tones down our energy. It always makes us feel very less energetic and makes us feel very lethargic and fatigued. So imagine if you're occupied with something, it's like ripping on and finally you'll not get anything. You just tell yourself, okay, fine. When I know certainly about something, then I will think about it. Otherwise, I'm not going to use my thinking process for all this nonsensical things. Use your thinking for growth. Use your thinking for actually other important things or even pleasurable activities, not a problem. But don't use your robust thinking for worrying. That's not going to be of any use. You can think about problem solving. That is different from worrying. Very important for people who are depressed. Have a routine. And if I ask a question to those who are depressed, I'm sure the answer would be you won't be sleeping properly. Because of that, it slowly have a dominoes effect of waking up late and not doing any routine and eating on time. Everything goes for a fall, landslide. So what happens is your routine, your lifestyle is going for a toss, because of which again and again you're in a vicious cycle of negativity. So, but if you really want to correct your depression and all that, it's very difficult, but you need to break your behavior and try to have a routine and start a new habit, and just train your brain for some simple routines, at least from waking time to night time. You will feel much better and productive. And as I already told you, standing up for yourself is very, very important skill which you all should acquire to handle stress, unnecessary stress in life. So if you can really speak up, if somebody's criticizing you and you don't like it and you just going to think about it later, it's going to bring you down, bring all your energy down. So you need to speak up. See, hey, I don't like the way you're talking like this to me. Or can I ask this to you? or sorry, I don't want this. This kind of things is going to save our ego and protect our self from other people who might take advantage of us. So maybe most of the Indians, especially women and all, we are all like, trained to be passive and, conditioned to be passive. So you just have to speak up and believe more in yourself. The secret to becoming assertive is to become confident about your own opinions and values and beliefs. Self-awareness is the key. If you strongly believe in yourself, you can definitely stand up for yourself. So actually, we have a separate workshop or training even for improving your assertive skills. I've given a lot of videos for each and every skill. I'm talking in nutshell in this presentation. This presentation is just going to be like an eye-opener for you to develop a lot of resources in you, skill sets in you to give a clarity. But if you're interested in developing any of these aspects, you can look into the video in my YouTube channel also to further improve of any of the specific skills that I'm talking about here. Because any change is not easy. Any change requires a lot of efforts. And most of the times in my experience and clinical experience, what I see in, I would say even more than 90% of my clients, all of them have external locus of control. What is that? They believe that very strongly. What is happening in their life is not in their control. This is a very detrimental way of thinking. If anybody is listening to this, and if you feel the same way, I can predict you that you may develop some mental health problem in future, because this is a very toxic way of thinking. I know, because of our previous life experiences and all that, we tend to think this way. Like, there is nothing I can do about my future. Why just bother, get hopeless? Why does everything happen to me? Things happen to me. This is how the people with external locus of control think. They think it's because of fate. They think it's because of, astrological predictions, or, my whatever. My destiny is like this. That's it. I cannot change it. It's my fate. But we say that you have to take responsibility for things happening in your life. Like, I make things happen. Look what I can do. I am the driver of my own life. I can take care of my life. I make things happen. I can determine my future. Imagine you're going in a car and you're just giving the steering control to someone who's a stranger. Imagine how you're going to drive there. You're just going to sit there with a lot of anxiety about how the driver is going to take, because you don't know who the even driver is, because you gave the control of your life to someone. But now time to regain control in your life and take that car driver's seat here. You should be the driver of your life by taking responsibility. Whatever happened in my life has happened until 18 years. Now the time has come to take responsibility for my life. This kind of thinking pattern will be shield against your depression or anxiety or stress in your life. This is a very robust point. If you could think and reflect on it, you will understand the importance of what I said. And needless to say, most of you may know this, but how are we practicing this is a big question. You all know positive thinking is good and you need to train. If you look at some people, they always see the positive things coming out of situation. But if you look at certain people, they always think the negative things. Oh, what if that goes wrong? Even amidst a lot of positive things, they will only point out the negative things. That means their brain is already corrupted to be in a more pessimistic way. So you need a lot of rewiring to be done to your brain to make it to think positive, because positive attitude is the one which changes the way we look at life itself. So how do we do that? Believe in yourself that there is something inside you that is greater than any obstacle. Draw your inner resources and believe a lot in yourself by developing a positive attitude towards your own self. First, it's very important that you develop a positive attitude towards your own self, as well as have a very positive attitude towards people around us and towards the world around us. If you have negative attitude about each and everything around you, some people may have positive attitude to them, but negative attitude towards other people. That will, cause a lot of anger issues in you, hostility in you. Certain people will have negative attitude towards, themselves, but positive attitude towards others. Those are the passive people. They always are very hard on themselves, but they are very good to other people, very pleasing to other people. So in both the ways, it's not going to work. You need to develop a self-belief and tell yourself that I can do it, and no matter what happens, don't rely on what others say. You just have to draw from your own inner strengths. And for people who may thinking what talent I've got, or what are the strengths? I'm sure every human being born on this earth has got some talent or some good things in them. You just have to believe it so that it just pops out. And one very robust technique here for people who are depressed is have a gratitude journal. Like in every time bedtime diary, as I told you earlier about writing your emotions, also you can have a gratitude journal. Likewise, I told earlier, You can use it in your smartphone as well, because it's not the happiness, that brings us gratitude. It's gratitude that brings us happiness. Because I've seen a lot of people who've got everything in their life, but still very depressed, feeling, oh, I don't have that. They may have a lot of things, but they just point out on the things they don't have. But I've seen people also, like you also must have seen people not having much, like not much money, or, things happening in their life, not very good looking, not studying well, but still happy because they're grateful towards the blessings in their life. They count their blessings. But for people who are depressed, it will be like a joke. How can I think? Because their mind is already tuned to see the negative side of life. Okay, but please understand, there is a sunlight towards you. There is a positive hope of ray, and try to look at it and understand our purpose of life. And again, one more important thing is establish good social connection. After all, we are all social animals, and you need energy from people. As how much we need food, how much we need water, we also need social connections. We need to belong to someone, and we feel like we want to be loved by someone. We want to love someone. So have the kind of people who are married may have this need satisfied as long as their marriage life is good. And for students and people who are single, you need to have good social connection, not like 1 million followers in Instagram or in whatever medium, but then it should be a real face-to-face connection with whom you can actually talk out your feelings and be really, using that time with them, not just like fun time, even a meaningful conversation with them, even at least one friend also, it's fine. If you have this aspect in your lives, most of your stress and depression will be resolved if you could connect. Because the people who are depressed, first thing they do is cut the connections. They want to withdraw from people. So when you have a good shield of friends and with whom you can actually talk it out, you will be feeling more shielded. So please establish such connections. If you think that, ma'am, I don't have any friends, please take it as a red flag. Take it as a red flag. Work on it. Think why I don't have friends. Is there any problem which is stopping me? Is it an anxiety or is it an avoidance issue? What is it? And when I talk about depression, I can't stop talking about purpose and meaning in life. Because most of the times in my experience, I've seen that people who are depressed, what they say is like, they have people in their life, okay, things go on with them, actually speaking. They are not very important. They feel why I should be there. Things are going on already in life. What is my importance in life? They just lack to understand the worthiness of their presence in everybody's life. But it's not that somebody else is going to add meaning into your life. You need to add essence to your life. You need to add purpose to your life. But as I told earlier, every human being is born with some purpose in life. And time to understand the mystery of human existence lies not in just staying alive. Okay, I'm also that counted. No. How important you are, but in finding something to live for. What is the essence of you? What is the kind of meaning you're going to add? Just by being a teacher in R.M.D college, or by being a psychologist, or by being a student, what kind of value am I adding to my own life? That position itself actually adds, but are we aware of it? Are we acknowledging the factor? So the Viktor Frankl logotherapy I always quote when we talk about depression. So he was in a concentration camp and everybody died. The relatives and the family was killed in the concentration camp, but he still felt like he should live. And now youngsters and many people, especially the suicide rate is more among youngsters. And after a breakup, after any academic failure or having disappointments about themselves, people think about suicide. But imagine this Viktor Frankl, after losing everything in life, still wanted life. Then he was like thinking like why I want to live. Then he found out the concept of logotherapy, where he said that when people have a purpose and meaning in life, he found his own purpose. He still felt that he had his unfinished business to take care of. I need to be alive for that. I'm very important for that. For example, I would feel, okay, my role as a psychologist is important. So I think I should live. So if you think that, no, I'm not that important. No, you are also important. Everybody listening to this, everyone for that matter is important. But please understand a worthiness of you and add that essence and feel that there is a purpose which is calling me. And I'm just not born into this world. I have the purpose. Without finishing the purpose, just don't ready to quit this life. So that's the only thing. And depression, definitely imagine if a person, the whole family is relying on a person. Can a person feel depressed? He just have to get up every single day, bring the food onto the table and do things. They have to go on. So depression is something which you should understand when you lose the goals, when you're away from the path of your goals in life, you feel depressed. So add some simple goals in your life, which are smart goals, we would say in psychology. Have some goals in life to make it more interesting and viable. Otherwise, you feel like boring every single day. Why am I getting up? What am I going to do? When you have some meaningful goals in life, you feel like today I'm energetic. Imagine there are two people. One is very energetic, one is very, walking very briskly, and other person is walking without energy. I'm sure a person walking without energy will lack in their thinking process. They may be a pessimistic thinker, or they may be following very poor bad habits, or they may be drinking, or they may be having a feeling of worthlessness. All these negative things are residing and pulling down their energy every single minute, not allowing them to walk. And the most important culprit is your thinking process. So when you look into your thinking process and rewire it by putting a positive aspect, like, when we say that I am a useless person, tell, no, I am worthy enough. I believe in myself. When your own inner critic says that you are so stupid, no, say I am important. So when you could fight and challenge and develop a strong self-belief, you will see getting lot of energy, which depression has already deprived you from. And one tips for people who are depressed, and it's very difficult for a person who is extremely depressed to do hobbies. But I would say who are in the starting stage of feeling depressed and all that, or a preventative aspect, I should say, have some hobbies. Even for homemakers, this is a very important tip. Get creative, do something very important, makes you feel good enough. Have that, thing going on, energetic things. Okay. Otherwise, you feel like one couch potato, not having energy. Imagine when you don't take bath, or when you don't do anything important in your life. By the time you go to bed, you feel like useless completely. But when you have studied, read some books, even fictitious book also, or did some activity that day, that night, you'll feel very good. Oh, I've done something useful. So please understand, our mind is actually wired in a way to do something productive, not to waste. I'm not telling you should not have fun. Have fun, do work, have it in balance. The end of the night, at the end of the day, during the night, you will feel that, okay, I have had a great day. I can go to sleep peacefully. And most importantly, for youngsters who are listening, take care of your needs, because depression is also because of not meeting your needs. For example, not only the need for hunger or thirst, but your biological needs. And also I'm talking about your love and belongingness. When your needs are not fulfilled, also you'll feel depressed. Depression is nothing but when you feel depressed is when you value something very important in your life. When that is taken off from you, you'll feel depressed. And I've seen people who have lost their pets getting depressed for a long time because they value it a lot. So put your values on a lot of things, and not only on a single thing, which will have a power over your life. When you have value over a lot of things in life, you will not get depressed for a long time. You can just bounce back and come back and grieve for a time, then come back with the energy and then focus on your life. Because after all, life has to go on. And a few more slides to finish. And very important technique, most of you would have heard and not really known what it is mindfulness. What is mindfulness? Not like mindful of thought. It's like, being in the present, not in the past or in the future. Now the time is like 11:53, and listening to me at this very moment, if you're with me, that is called mindfulness. Okay, it's like engaging all your five senses of eyesight, and also hearing, and sense of touch, taste, all this are our, and feel, all this are our mindfulness, that I'm staying in touch. But actually speaking, we are all lost in our autopilot mode, especially stress is happening to us because we are just living in the uncertainty in the future. And also we are not there in the present at all, not conscious. We are actually losing our conscious. Most of the time we are in autopilot mode. Imagine the time you take the bike and then reach the home, you don't know what happened. Mindfulness is about every single minute being in the present, savoring life, and enjoying the moments life has offered us. Just take a look around how, even though it is so hot out there, you could see some good sights over there, some nice innocent child smiling at you. There is a nice tree and flowers, whatever. Just look around and be there and be in connect with the nature, which is going to be very, very positive for you, and which is very, very soothing also for your soul, especially for people who are depressed, who want to stay away from all this hustle bustles of life and pollutions of life. We just have to focus on the serenity of life and understand life is such a bliss and a blessing, and be focused on the present. Even when you're eating, just be in the process of eating. How many of us are eating without the mobile phone, or how many of us eating in hurry-burry, not knowing what you've eaten only? Especially, except for dinners and weekends. We don't know what we are eating also, isn't it? Mindfulness is about being in the present, enjoying the moment, and in connection with what I'm eating, what kind of food is that, what kind of smell is it giving, what kind of taste it's giving. All these are the mindfulness. When you develop the art of mindfulness, we could see that even I'm trying for a long time. It's not that easy. Being mindful is such a very difficult act. It's come from Buddhism concept also. But more you learn and more you are in connect with your present, you'll feel very less stressed. Quietening the body, just now I told you, you need to quieten your body, sit for a while, be with yourself, just close your eyes, meditate. You may think that meditation is the last thing I could do. Thoughts will cross here and there. Thousands of thoughts will be crossing. You didn't study that, you didn't do this assignment, she will tell this. All kind of thoughts will come. But trust me, just let it go. Imagine you are near the river and the big river stream is coming and there is a lot of leaves in the river stream and you just see the leaves will go, it will pass. Similarly, when you close your eyes and just focus, all the thoughts, let it go. Don't go on to catch on to the thought train. Just stand outside and just let the thoughts go. Let the thoughts go. After a while, your mind will become super serene and clean. Like you put a stone on the water, after a ripples, it will come to the clear position. After that, just focus in between your eyebrows and just keep focusing at least for 5 minutes a day. You will find a lot more serene and your gut reactions, your stress levels, everything will come down. And to close the today's session, I want to tell a very robust prayer to all of you. That is, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. This is the essence of managing our life's problem. The wisdom to know the difference is the part which is very difficult to handle because most of the time we don't know what is in my control and what is not my control, and using most of our time to change the things which we cannot. The more we accept the things we cannot change, for example, during the COVID period, the more problem will be cleared out. The courage to change the things I can, you have to try for that. When you can't change the things, accept and surrender. And this is the words of wisdom. If you could understand these words, and most of the stress and things are in your control. So thank you so much for your listening. And if you could relate to this video, and if you have any doubts also, you can ask the question to me, or if you could relate and tell something about it, feel free to text me. And also you can just look into my contact also to have more queries. And I hope this video was enlightening and helping for you to understand more about ourselves and handle our very basic things about life and like problems of life, or be it stress or depression. And once again, thank you so much for R.M.D. College for giving me this opportunity during Tamil New Year, which I was very happy to accept because I always love to connect to people, to create a lot of awareness about mental health. I don't usually spare my Sundays, but then for a good cause, I thought I could spend 1 hour for them. And I'm really happy I did this. And thank you so much, the faculties who were connected with me. And I thank the principal also. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your valuable tips of how to interpret and react to the circumstances. Now I request Dr. K.S. Radha, Professor, Department of Science and Humanities, to propose word of thanks. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, Gayatri ma'am. Good afternoon to everyone present here. It gives me immense pleasure to propose the vote of thanks in this August event. First and foremost, let us all thank our God Almighty for making everything pleasant and possible in this moment. I take this wonderful opportunity to express our sincere gratitude to our chief guest of the day, Dr. Chitra Aravind, consultant psychologist, Rehabilitation Council of India certified Manas, Kodambakkam, Chennai, for having accepted our invitation in a very short duration and enlightened our students with your valuable suggestions and guidance to overcome their stress and depression in a very detailed and a comprehensive manner, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, your tips on building stress tolerance and depression, your research and evidence based robust techniques in building resilience, and various life skills you highlighted will definitely make our students handle any kind of their everyday stress and depression. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. It was a wonderful session, ma'am. In this occasion, I will also thank our beloved chairman, vice chairman, and our entire management team for all their encouragement and support in all our endeavors. I also express our sincere thanks to our principal, dean, and all heads of the departments for their dedication and continuous motivation. I would take this opportunity to thank Dr. Tamuchilvi, Professor and Head Science Humanities, Dr. Priya, Professor and Division Head Physics, Dr. Gayatri Devi, Associate Professor English, and all the organizing team and my colleagues for making this session a successful one. Finally, let me thank all my dear students and viewers for watching this wonderful session on depression and stress management techniques. Thank you, one and all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
ma'am.
madam. Thank you so much.
Have a nice day.